Iceland is a country unlike any other. It is the least populated country in Europe, meaning you will find wide open spaces and vast areas of untouched wilderness all around the country. The landscape is so diverse that at times you may feel like you're on another planet. Iceland was a bucket list trip for me and a place that I had wanted to visit for years. I dreamed about traveling the Ring Road and exploring all of the iconic sites that Iceland has to offer. As you can imagine, I spent a lot of time on the internet doing research about the best spots to visit in this incredibly unique country. The Ring Road is an 820-mile loop that connects most of the towns and villages and passes a lot of Iceland's most iconic sites. It is recommended to take at least a week to drive the Ring Road in its entirety, but honestly, the more time you have, the better. The following video is a recap of our 2-week Iceland road trip and all the places we stopped to see along the way. Now, if you want to see some more videos where we dive a little deeper into this trip, be sure to check out our whole Iceland playlist, which includes detailed vlogs of each section of the Ring Road, things to do around Reykjavik, and our experience with the volcano down in Grindavik. Also, I will be doing my best to pronounce these places, but Icelandic is a really tough language with some crazy words, so go easy on me if I mess up a couple times.
Stödvarfjörður.
I definitely recommend having your own car while traveling around Iceland, and I think one of the best ways to tour the Ring Road is by camper van. Camper vans are not cheap in Iceland, but to be honest, I think it's the way to go. We booked our rental through Happy Campers and got a small Volkswagen Caddy, which had a fold-down bed, fridge, stove, and everything else you need for camping. This allowed us to stock up on groceries and cook our own meals, which will save you a ton of money in the long run. Campsites are located all over the country and will be significantly cheaper than any hotel or Airbnb accommodation that you will find. Just be aware though, campsite charges are per person, not per site, like in most other countries. We headed south out of Reykjavik with a plan to circle the island counterclockwise, which is the most popular direction to explore the Ring Road. For all the sites in this video, I will be covering them in sequential order, meaning that is the order that they will be in if you drive this road counterclockwise, just as we did. Our first stop was Snaefellsnes, one of the most popular waterfalls in Iceland. This waterfall is very accessible and really cool as you can actually walk behind the water. The views were incredible, and this is a great first stop for your Iceland road trip. Be aware though, you will get wet, and it is a good idea to have a rain jacket and rain pants, which will probably come in handy as Iceland's weather is quite unpredictable. Right next to Snaefellsnes is another waterfall which is often overlooked. A short 5-minute hike takes you to Gilfrabúi. To access this waterfall, you will have to walk up a small stream, so make sure to bring waterproof boots. And if you didn't get wet at Snaefellsnes, you definitely will get wet here. Our next stop was Skogafoss, another iconic waterfall. We visited Iceland right after COVID when they just opened back up to international tourists, so there was no one at this waterfall, which was insane. We camped right by Skogafoss and took a short hike in the morning up this beautiful canyon to Kvörnufoss, another waterfall that you can walk behind. This is also where I crashed my drone, so to see that stressful experience, be sure to check out our vlog from Southern Iceland. Next up is a glacier that you might not have heard of, but is well worth a visit. Solheimjökull Glacier is a short detour off the Ring Road, and you can take a nice wide path just a short distance to get right to the base of the glacier. The glacier doesn't have as many icebergs as larger glaciers down the road, but it is unique and will be less touristy than the more popular glacial stops. Then it was on to Dyrhólaey Lighthouse, perched up on the cliffs overlooking a sea arch and a huge black sand beach. This was a great stop and an awesome photo opportunity. From a distance, you could see Reynisfjarðar Black Sand Beach, which is world famous and was our next stop. You definitely have to be careful here though. The beach is prone to big waves that will hit the shore unexpectedly, and there is signage everywhere that warns you about that. The rock formations here are really unique, and it is a definite must visit for your road trip. Right around the corner is the town of Vík, where you will find a really cool church with a view of the sea stacks. This is one of the bigger towns in the area, so it's a good place to gas up and get some groceries. Don't forget to try one of Iceland's famous gas station hot dogs. Don't worry, they are much higher quality than gas station hot dogs in the United States, and you should try them with all the different toppings that they put on them. Next, we stopped at this really cool canyon, which I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce. Recently, this canyon gained quite a bit of popularity and has been roped off, but viewing the canyon from the top path is definitely still worth it. You can hike to a waterfall and lookout platform about 20 minutes back from the parking lot, and if you have a drone, this is an excellent place to see from above. The most famous Iceland glacier has got to be Jökulsárlón. You will see this glacier from a distance as you drive around Southern Iceland, and the Ring Road passes right past a great viewing area. You can watch the hundreds of icebergs float down the river and out to sea right in front of your eyes. If you follow this river to the other side of the road, you will be at Diamond Beach, where the icebergs have broken into smaller chunks and washed back up onto the black sand. These smaller pieces of ice look like diamonds, and seeing them scattered all over is pretty cool. This is a big turnaround spot for a ton of travelers who don't have enough time to visit the whole Ring Road and just want the highlights to the south. We continued on and made our way out of the southern part of the island and headed into the Eastern Fjords. Our first stop was Vestrahorn, which is probably my favorite place in the whole country. You have to pay a small fee to enter, but if you do, you gain access to an incredible black sand beach dotted with these small tufts of grass, and the magnificent Vestrahorn mountain in the background. This beach is unlike any other in the world, and you will definitely want to run around and take tons of photos here. Right next to the entrance to Vestrahorn is an abandoned movie set that looks like a Viking village, and for an additional fee you can visit this area and walk right up to the village. Continuing east, there's a colorful lighthouse along this section of the coast called Valnes, which is another great drone opportunity. You will actually see a lot of colorful lighthouses on this section of the road, most of which we didn't plan out but randomly spotted and decided to take a closer look. We took a short detour off the Ring Road to head back down to the coast and the town of Seyðisfjörður. This road was in a scene from one of Kelly and my favorite movies, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and we knew we just had to drive it. It was a little crazy though, as the night prior it had snowed a little bit and the top of the pass was still a bit icy. In Seyðisfjörður, make sure to check out the church, which has a rainbow walkway leading up to it. Back on the Ring Road, we tried to visit Hengifoss waterfall, but rain and poor visibility kept us away. It looked like a great stop though if the weather is good. Now we're heading into the north of Iceland, and our first stop is Dentifoss Waterfall. This is the second largest waterfall in Iceland, and there are actually 2 waterfalls at this site that are worth visiting if you have the time. All of Iceland is quite volcanically active, but in the north you will see a lot of different geothermal areas that you won't find in other areas of the country. We made our way to Kaverish, which is an area known for its bubbling pools of mud and steaming vents which release sulfuric gas. We've been to Yellowstone in the United States, and this place reminded me a lot of that, but you could walk around much more freely. Next, you'll come to Lake Møyvatn. Consider heading around the southern end of the lake to this place that I will not even attempt to pronounce. This area is home to ancient volcanic craters that create a really crazy looking shoreline. Godafoss is a waterfall that is not to be missed. Right off the Ring Road, there are multiple viewpoints, and you can even access the bottom of this waterfall. Continuing our drive around the north, consider getting off the Ring Road for a little bit and taking a slight detour to Iceland's oldest church. Grafakirkja features a turf-style construction that was used as insulation before modern architecture. The church was built in the 17th century, but the style of insulation was used long before that. The church was completely rebuilt in the 1950s. Another notable detour is Kavitsakur, a 15-meter basalt stack protruding out of the bay. This rock is also known as the Troll of Northwest Iceland, although I think it looks more like an elephant. We visited a few different hot springs during our time in Iceland, but this was probably our favorite. Gudrungalong Hot Spring is located in Western Iceland and is less visited. The water was very hot, and there is a cool little changing cabin right next to it. We were the only ones there when we visited. At this point, we continued off the Ring Road and headed towards the Snaefellsnes Peninsula. This area has a ton to offer and is pretty close to Reykjavik, so if you're looking for a shorter trip, consider heading here. Our first stop was the town of Snaefellsnes, a cool little coastal town with great fish and chips. Consider hiking up to the lighthouse for great views looking back over town. Continuing around the peninsula, our next stop was Kirkjufell. This mountain and the waterfall next to it have been named the most photographed place in all of Iceland, and with good reason. We were lucky enough to catch the sunset here, and it was so beautiful. I ran around for a few hours taking photos. If you have a drone, head east just a little bit down the road to fly over the famous Sword Bridge. There are lots of waterfalls to see on this peninsula, as is the case with all of Iceland, but we decided to check out one called Svodufoss, which was a short hike through a pasture. There's also a really cool sea arch nearby called Gatliktur, and the famous Iceland Black Church of Budir is here as well. After some time on the Snaefellsnes Peninsula, we made our way back to Reykjavik, returning our camper van and spending a few more days in the city before flying home. We cannot recommend Iceland enough. The landscape is so diverse and magnificent. Take as much time as you can to explore this place because however long you have, it won't be enough to see everything. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out some of the other videos from this trip, and let us know if you have any questions in the comments. We will do our best to help you in any way that we can. Until next time, happy travelers, peace out.